Okay, so my name's Victoria Stewart. We're here today to learn about dementia. I'm going to go around the room and find out your name and just what you understand about dementia. We'll start with you.
So I'm Shelley, and with dementia it can take time. It can be insidious. It's usually people that become quite forgetful, memory loss.
Yeah, good answer. We'll go to you.
Oh, I'm Patricia Hilton, and same sort of thing. I know dementia is very hard with people. They forget a lot of things.
We'll go to you.
Hi Stephen, I know dementia is not only very debilitating for the person that's suffering it, but also for the people and the family around them.
Yeah, that's very true. It's hard for family members as well. Go to you.
Helen Edwards. My mother lived with us for 2 years before she went into a home, and it's the constant attention they need, and not only being forgetful, forgetting how to shower and go to the toilet, and just being there constantly to monitor them to make sure they're on the right track.
Yeah, and safety's a big thing too with
Yes.
those with dementia, trying to keep them safe if they
Yeah.
can't remember how to keep themselves safe. Go to you.
Hi, so my name's Tanya. So dementia is definitely like a slow process. They say they slip away slowly, so memory goes, function goes. Yeah, it's not very good.
Yes, true. We'll go to you.
Matthew Jones, and don't know that much about it, so
That's all right. That's no worries at all. We'll go to you.
My name's Doug. So dementia is, to me, a loss of cognitive function, the loss of ability to do daily things for themselves, and just how hard it can be on everybody around them. It's a wide, family-wide issue, not just for
Yes.
that person.
Oh, that is very, very true. We'll go to you there in the back.
Yeah, my name's Robert. What I know about it, it's degenerative, very stressful for those who have it and those who are around them.
Yes, that's very true. It does cause a lot of stress.
My name's Hayden. Don't know a whole lot about dementia. I do know I had a family member go through it. It's very painful on the people around, the family around that person.
Yes, very true. And last but not least,
my name's Sean Edwards. What I know about it basically is it's a slow. Basically, they lose the ability to think, reason, and I guess make decisions for themselves.
yes, that's very true. And one of the hardest parts about dementia as it progresses is communication can break down. And that's something we're going to discuss today, is a different method of communication. So we've all faced communication barriers in our life, whether it be someone who has English as a second language or someone who does have dementia. Does anyone have their own personal experience about a communication barrier? Yes?
Yes. Instances when you tell them something and you explain it really, really clearly, simply like you're almost talking to a child, and then 5 minutes later they want to know exactly the same thing again. So it's trying to communicate what is wrong and why they're feeling like that, and then having to repeat that again afterwards.
Did you have any strategies on how you would overcome this issue?
No, I didn't, because I was learning.
Sure.
You know, with Mum, it was a learning experience, and it was, if she was forgetful about something and I already had told her once, you tell her again, and then you start to feel a bit, well, I already told you, Mum, I told you this. So you start to think, what's wrong with you that you're not understanding me when I've explained it to you simply. But just, it just takes a long time to get used to what they're actually going through.
And that's probably one of the most frustrating things with dementia, is how many times you have to repeat yourself and how little information is actually out there. Yes, sorry?
Yeah, no. So our granddad has dementia. So I guess it was more so they can't identify you properly. So he believed that I was my mum and my son Jackson was my brother Douglas. So I guess that's just part of, and then trying to communicate that I am who I was, but where he was in his time frame, I sort of didn't exist yet.
Yeah, sure, yeah. And that's another thing with dementia, you revert back to a certain period in your life, and that's what all your clear memories are about. Anything before or after that is just kind of gone. And that's another hard communication strategy, especially if you weren't born in that time frame and they don't know who you are.
Because the other part of it too is when communication completely breaks down.
That's
So
right.
that you have had enough and sick to death of repeating yourself over and over again, till you get to a point where you deliberately avoid or stay away from having to do that over and over again. So the whole communication process gets better.
Right, so part of our lesson today is I'm going to introduce you to a different form of communication strategy that does actually work really, really well for those who do have dementia, and they are my little picture cards. So I'm going to pass some of these around if you want to take one and pass them around. These you can put up in your patient's room, and so they can, another way for them to communicate their needs to you. They can circle them so you can have plenty around. So it's another way for them to remember what they have actually asked you for.
That's a good idea.
See what through there? Yeah, thank you.
Well, we're going to have a quick chat about communication from those with dementia's standpoint. Like, how would you feel, or in general, if you couldn't communicate your needs with someone who is caring for you? And that's another tough question, because it's hard for us to put ourselves in that position if you've never been in that position. It's hard to kind of imagine it.
Yeah.
So if you...
I would think it's so very frustrating.
Very. So if you wanted, say, a sandwich, and you're finding it really difficult to communicate what you want on your sandwich to someone who is caring for you, that's another way picture cards could come in handy. You can point
Looking
to
at this now,
tomatoes.
looking at this
That's
now,
such a good
it would have been
idea.
a huge
Yeah.
help, because Mum
Yeah.
forgot
Yeah.
words. She forgot what things were called.
The pictures are
So,
great.
yes, it's a great idea.
Yeah, and another,
It is.
I suppose, complicated part about dementia, say you've got English as a second language,
Yeah.
is, say if your first language was Italian. When dementia starts to progress, you will forget that you can speak English, and you will revert back to your mother tongue or your original language.
Yeah.
So it's another way. Picture cards like this can definitely come in handy when trying to communicate with someone who can no longer speak English.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm going to do a little demonstration using the cue cards. You're sitting right there, so I may as well use you.
Okay.
So if you want to pick something out on there that you think you may need or want. So you've pointed to a cold drink, and then I can ask you questions around that. Would you like orange juice for your cold drink? That's where you can use these yes or no. No orange juice. So would you like cordial? Yes. Would you like ice in your cordial? No. I'll go make that for you. So it's quite a simple method of communication. So if you want to turn to the person sitting next to you. And Mum, you're going to want to go to the toilet.
No.
And just have a little discussion amongst yourselves how you could use.
We don't have a picture.
Having a share for my mum was a big thing.
Alright, so
So,
is there something?
I was waiting for you.
So,
You're
I'll
the
make
one.
it for being able to point that out. She probably understood
What
what
do
I was taking her in the
What do you
bathroom
need? What do you need?
and put the shower on, and then she said, "Oh, would you like bubbles?" I can't get in there.
Do you need to wash your hair?
So the shower was a good one. for me.
Okay.
Yes.
My head under the
I'll
head.
go run
You
that.
Do you need a haircut?
Okay, yes.
We don't have to get some
Yeah.
haircut.
Okay,
Do you need your hair
Yeah.
washed?
Whether he would want to plant something or just water in the garden.
Okay, I'll go do it then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And the same
Right,
with the.
so
Actually, I haven't got
let's
front
say,
teeth.
okay, I have a question.
My mum
Yeah.
woke up one morning and she said, "Oh, someone's taken something and he's talking a bit funny."
Yeah, you can take those out.
These
And
are
I
the
said, "Oh,
same
Mum, your
ones.
teeth are missing. Where's your teeth?"
And the
Oh,
ones that
someone's taken them, you know. And
Oh,
she
no.
said this is when she still had a few words.
Now these are
And I
upgraded
said,
to-
no one will come in and take them. And so
Victoria.
anyway, she sat up in bed and she was
Another one
laying on
missing?
it. She must have taken it out and put it in the bed.
Yes.
And I thought that was funny. And I said, Mum, it's like it didn't bite you. She didn't understand it. I had a good laugh, but she didn't.
So if I get into the supermarket, I like
But then I could have said, you know, I asked her something, something like this. Where are your teeth? She probably would have said, sometimes I go after food.
So if we want to bring
There's the teeth.
attention back up to the front to me. So did you find that an easy way for communication? A lot easier?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
they
don't think so
definitely,
handed out of this all those years ago.
and it's hard because there
Really
is so little information on the internet or in books or wherever about dementia and communication methods, and especially when I want to show you this one quickly. It's a pain chart.
Oh, okay.
And where those who find it hard to communicate will find so many different ways to communicate pain. I'll give you one example. When I was working in a facility one time, there was a lady who was always pleasant, never aggressive, and then but she was non-verbal. All of a sudden she became very aggressive, very much out of character. She passed away the next day.
Oh,
Turns out she had had an abscess on her tooth which had become infected, causing septic shock, causing her to pass away.
She's in agony.
Yeah, she would have been,
Yeah.
absolutely. So another form of someone who is non-verbal to communicate with you is change of behaviour,
Yeah.
That's
acting out of character.
Yeah.
So it's important to pay attention to even the slightest little things, slightest little changes, because that in itself can tell you everything you need to know. You need to pay close attention to that.
Yeah.
All right, so just briefly, so we've learned about the different methods of communication today.
Yeah.
Do you think it's something you could incorporate into being a carer, or something you could
Yeah.
Yes.
into caring for your family members?
I would
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yes.
For sure. I'll use it with Jason as well.
Huh? Ways
Turn
to
it
communicate
upside
with
down.
your partner.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's another way.
Yes. Call quickly, will you?
Look, mate, she's coming over. Give him a heads up.
So in our next session, we're going to be going into more of an in-depth of what dementia actually is, what it does to your brain, and there's actually a few different types of dementia. So which part of the brain each of those interacts. So that brings a close to our session today. Thank you all for coming, and please fill out a feedback form on your
Yeah.
way out, and I'll see you next session.
Thank you.